Today on our channel we have eminent psychiatrist Dr. Wilona Annunciation. She works with all populations, but her expertise is with children. She has been working with Ramogi Hospital, Institute for Psychological Health and Profilita. She tries to keep her practice as accessible as possible, and that is her special feature, I can say. And children usually feel very comfortable with her, even to take medicines which she prescribes. So here I would like to welcome Dr. Wilona. It is our pleasure to have you on board today.
Hi Sonali, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yes, yes, all our pleasure. So is going online. Even the schools are happening online now. So what do you think about this current scenario and how is it impacting mental health of children?
Okay, so when the year started, we all started 2020 with a bang, but from March onwards, things just took a downward spiral, and it's been going on like that for the last 9 months. Uh, it's definitely been a huge change for everybody, children included. But I think most parents and teachers will agree with me when I say that children have adapted amazingly well to this situation. I thought it would be very difficult for my children to stay at home right through the summer vacation, then through school after that, then Ganpati vacation. So it was a really long time that the kids had to stay inside the house. But I think within themselves, they figured out and found ways to keep themselves active, to play, to enjoy their activities, and to do a lot of fun stuff. So in that sense, I think the kids have really surprised me in this entire lockdown. Um, Among my patients, many of the parents have reported that the child is doing fairly okay. Otherwise, it is a challenge to manage. Parents have reported that they have not found it far more challenging during the lockdown. Of course, there are a few exceptional cases where there have been a lot of difficulty, but by and large, I think both parents and teachers have sort of made like a consensus key. This year is going to be like a bonus year that we're not
Mhm.
really expecting the kids to do too much or learn a lot, and just get through this year safe and sound is the
Mhm.
priority. So one thing that I have definitely been concerned about is the increase in screen time,
Mhm.
because now everything is online. The schools are online, the classes are online. And although at the start of the pandemic, both me and my husband made a conscious decision to cancel all the classes, even though there was a shift to online. Like, for example, my daughter's Kathak class shifted online. But we decided to just take a break this year and said, let's not get into the whole deal with the pandemic. And I think that has been one good thing for us in terms of screen time. But I see parents reporting a concern in terms of screen time, especially for the children. Because now, with everything moving online, the kids are, as it is, exposed to a lot more screen than they were earlier. In addition, the kids want their TV time or their game time. So, it is like 6 hours of school or 4 hours of school, plus additionally 1-2 hours of extra screen time. So that has become an area of concern, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very well said, Dr. Vilona. And I would like to say that this is a great example which you have shared, that you have cancelled all the tuitions or all the extra classes of your daughter or children. I think this is something all the parents need to understand this year, that as earlier you mentioned, this year is going to be a bonus. So we can give our children a break from the race which they are always running in, and it is all right if they are not competing the way they are competing usually, because already these many challenges they are also facing. So thanks a lot for that example. Further on, what would you like to tell parents? What are the markers which they should be paying attention at? You know.
So, before I give any markers now, Sonali, I'd like to
Mm-hmm.
give a disclaimer that
Mm-hmm.
every
Sure,
child
sure.
is unique, and it is very difficult to just look at a list of signs and symptoms and diagnose your child as suffering from something. In fact, you know how difficult it is in clinical practice, right? We
Yes,
take
yes.
quite a bit of time and
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit of assessment before we finally decide, okay, the child has this and this is what we are going to be working with. Of course, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times when we see the child or when we interact with the child, we understand concerns. But for diagnosis, we take a lot of time, right? So I would definitely encourage all parents not to jump to diagnosing their child with any mental health related condition. What I'd like to say is that they need to look at three areas. Okay, one is the child's behavior, two is the child's activity levels and energy levels, and three is the child's academics. These are three areas that they need to look at in terms of the child's development and growth. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we look at concerns in terms of so if you look at behavior, we look at concerns in terms of hyperactivity or inactivity or not being able to um, achieve the energy levels that they are expected to at their age. We look at behavior complaints in terms of temper tantrums, anger, aggressiveness. We look at behavioral complaints in terms of not understanding what is right and what is wrong. So, for example, a child who thinks that it's okay to steal or a child who thinks that it's okay to lie. So, these are concerns that we look at. We also look at, academic concerns, like for example, is the child able to focus on their studies or not, is the child able to achieve up to their capacity, is the child struggling with their you know with meeting the demands of the curriculum, or even with the batchmates that they are with, if they are not at par with them, or they are really struggling with simple things like reading, writing, maths, spellings. These are areas of concern for the child. Or if the child is struggling in terms of development, for example, the child is now 5 years old but still doesn't seem to be able to keep themselves dry by night, or if the child is not able to eat by themselves, not able to button, unbutton, dress themselves, go to the washroom, clean themselves after a particular age, these are looked at as concerns. So I would definitely like to tell parents that as growing children, it's not a competition. You're not looking at comparing your child with other children in terms of achievement, but you need to look at milestones that the child has to achieve, because the growth of the body and the growth of the brain are parallel to each other. So if there are areas where you feel the body is lacking or the brain development is lagging, and I understand that a lot of times parents don't want to compare with other children, but if you see that other children of the child's age is able to do something that the child is not able to do, then that could be a potential area of concern, and that could be something that you look into in a little more detail. So yeah, this is what I would like to tell the parents.
Okay, so Dr. Wilona, yes, I'm sure these are going to be helpful markers which parents can look at. So, do you think that there are some extra markers which parents should pay attention at just because it is COVID and because of this whole situation? As you said, screen time has increased. But do you think there are some other markers which parents should pay attention at when they are working from home and schools are going online?
Yeah. So one good thing of the entire pandemic is that the nutrition has seriously improved, I think, because everybody is cooking home cooked nutritious food, and
Mhm.
that's definitely a plus for the kids. I would say look at growth markers, look at academic development markers for the child, and generally we also look at extracurricular development for the child. But this year you could just let that go and look at if the child is able to achieve whatever they are supposed to for their age in other areas. Another useful marker that they could look at is the energy levels of the child. Like, for example, how much energy is the child having in the house? Earlier, they would go to school, they would get tired and come back, and that would also add to their overall capacity to sit still in one place and focus on activities. But now you might find that they are not able to do that because there's just too much energy and very little being expended in the form of play, especially unstructured physical play that they usually do in the garden or with other people in the surrounding building locality. So this is something that they could look at. And if they see, like for example, my son really struggles with sitting still in one place. And in this lockdown, and especially now, we notice that there are times when he will be full of energy and he'll be running around and jumping around and trying to climb things. So it's important that parents make a note of this and see if something needs to be done to address it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dr. Wilona. And as you said that as they are not going to school and as they are not going to play outside, energy shifts can be observed. I think just like adults, we are also not not all of us are going to our offices and we are also observing that kind of energy shift. So it might also happen that there is a lot of energy, but it might also turn out in this way that we are feeling more and more lethargic because there is no physical activity. So I
Yes.
think it can happen with children as well.
Yes.
So thank you for that disclaimer though, which you have given in the beginning. Every person, every child is going to be difficult. So we cannot just pick one thing and apply it and then just say that, okay, my child is going through this. But definitely we can understand or know that, okay, these are the things which we can pay attention at. So thanks a lot. I'm sure this conversation is going to help a lot of parents in many ways. And I think I don't know what you are thinking about this. Please comment on this. But I think that even though we are working from home, even though there are more challenges now, one opportunity I think which all of us have got is we are having more time to observe our children now. We have more time to be with our children now. So be it very passively, like maybe I'm working on my laptop and my child is sitting beside me. But before pandemic, even this much was not possible. So I would like to hear what you think about this.
So to be honest, I think in the first 3 or 4 months, there were a lot of
Mhm.
reach outs from parents about changes that they had observed in their child. And over the
Mhm.
last 4 months, it has dropped a little bit. I think it is important to look at a span of time and see if the child is definitely showing those concerns over a period of time. Like, for
Okay.
example, just after coming back from a vacation, a
Mhm.
child might not show interest in studies.
Mhm.
So it is important that you observe it over a period of time. Say maybe once the study starts in proper flow, whether the child is getting reintegrated back into it. So it's important not to be very impulsive about
Mhm.
thinking about concerns when it comes to
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
Observe over a period of time and then decide. I agree though that now there are a lot of parents who are at home, and I think that is one of the reasons why they are finding it easier to manage their children.
Mhm.
Because earlier what would happen was a lot of times children would be managed either by grandparents or whoever was there at home, if there was some help, or if the child was going to a daycare, or say the child was in school during the entire duration of the day and then coming home only in the evening. So the care of the child was predominantly by others, whereas now a lot of it has shifted to the parents. It's a lot of load on parents, I agree with that. But I think it has made a huge difference in the quality of input that goes to the child. Because
Mhm.
I've had parents who in this lockdown have worked on, say, social reciprocal behavior that they have with their child, eye contact with the child, improving impulse control, improving the energy expenditure in terms of the hyperactivity. And I find them now realizing that it is far more superior, the efforts that they put as compared to the efforts of others. Because to be fair, grandparents have their limitations. They are older, they cannot run behind the child, they cannot do the activities at the level that the parents would do. Maids and caregivers, although they are there physically, they cannot or may not be able to cognitively give the challenges that a parent would be able to provide. So I think this is one added benefit of the fact that parents are spending more time with their children. um, I know it is very demanding, but I think you will see the benefits of it in the times to come. One thing, Sonali, we did in the lockdown was we did very regular movie nights, and that is something that we love now. Like now, we do it. We used to do it once a week earlier. Then it came to almost 2 or 3 movies in a week during the first few months of the lockdown, and all of us would sit together and watch it. But now that is something that we really enjoy. Like that popcorn is made and then we all sit together and then we'll all, talk about the movie and discuss about the movie. And I think these are moments that contribute so much to the growth of the child, because it helps them to think, it helps them to, reason out things, to draw inferences from the, emotions that they are seeing on screen and talk about them with the parents. And it it just adds a different dimension to the relationship. So I hope parents are taking advantage of this opportunity and doing this with their
Yes,
kids.
yes, I definitely agree that I think the example which you gave is nice to understand that a lot of modeling also can be done during such moments. So, like whatever we want to
Yeah.
teach our child, earlier it was much in instruction format because we had a lot to do and we
Yes.
had a lot to manage. So, we were, I think, managing our children before,
Yes.
and now it is kind of spending quality time with our children. So, yes. My next question is going to be this that what kind of challenges do you think, Dr. Wilona, are going to be faced or we are going to see when everything is going to kind of open up? So, like when schools open up, when children will have to go to schools, when they will have to go to tuitions, a lot of expectations are going to get increased, right? So, what kind of challenges do you think all as a family might have to face?
Okay. So one of the challenges that I'm anticipating is challenges in scheduling. Okay. In the sense that now I think timelines have gotten very, very delayed. So people are sleeping later, getting up later, and there is no physical school to go to. So, that, or even physical office for a lot of people has not yet fully started. So, there is definitely a lull in that area, and I think that might prove to be challenging. More challenging for the parents than for the children, because we know that children will adapt fast. It is up to the parents. So I would definitely recommend that if you get a heads up from the school about when they are planning to start, maybe 2 weeks before you start implementing the routine in your house, so that it becomes an easier shift for the children. This is something we do during vacation time. So when the vacation is about to end, especially summer vacations, a week before we start implementing the early wake up schedule. The whole vacation we let them sleep in, but 1 week before we say, okay, now let's start getting up at 6 o'clock. Even if there's nothing to do, let's just get up at 6 o'clock and start doing some activities around the house. So that helps make it easier for the children. Another thing that a lot of times parents complain about is that the child needs repeated reminders to wake up in the morning. So one thing that might work is if you wake up a little earlier than the child, and if there's an AC in the room, if there's a fan in the room, turn it off so that the entire atmosphere becomes a little warmer for the child, which makes them ready to get up. What helps and what has helped us have non-cranky children when getting up is that we wake up about 15-20 minutes before the kids, and then we hug them, and slowly in that hug try and wake them up. So that really helps a lot. The other thing that I think might be a concern is there might be some amount of children who are refusing to go back to school because it's far easier at home, and there's a lot more freedom, and they don't really need to um, deal with the whole interaction with so many children, and the whole competition and everything that happens. So that is something that parents would need to look seriously at. I think schools are going to evolve into um, a sort of hybrid system, but that would probably be for a short period of time and then move into proper regular school. Because what we heard from our school was that they would probably do like odd roll numbers on some days and even roll numbers on some days, so that there's not as many children coming into school. So it would be definitely a good pointer for parents to look at the willingness of the child to go back to school and to reintegrate back into that system. If there are concerns there, then they could explore that and see whether there is a problem in that area. Um, I have also definitely seen an improvement in terms of infectious diseases among children during this
Mm.
pandemic, because a lot of children have been at home. So exposure to infections has been minimal. and because of that they getting in turn exposed and suffering from that infection for like a week or 10 days, that has also reduced. So I think there might be a spurt again of infections once things restart. I don't mean COVID. What I mean is the regular, cold, cough, viral fever, skin infections, and all of that. And I think that might increase again as the children restart going to school. Um, if there has been heavy support from parents in terms of habits like eating, taking a bath, going to the washroom, then that might become a problem again for the child to be independent and self-reliant, because that is something that schools expect, that the child has to be independent in these areas. So if that has been overlooked or
So, you were
okay.
speaking about infections, and you were mentioning that infections might increase, and then you were saying that now a lot of support from parents is being given for the schedule or other things. So, schools are expecting that the children are independent. So, maybe those kind of problems might arise.
Yeah. One concern that I have observed in this lockdown is because the children are at home. Uh, Voluntarily, involuntarily, parents end up supporting a lot more than they are supposed to, or they would actually support in school. Like in school,
Mm-hmm.
the children would have to do it by default, just by themselves. So although a lot of times the teachers keep insisting that the work has to be the child's own work, I remember the last time we did a parent teacher conference with our son's teacher. The teacher was like, she started the conversation with, um, I'm fairly confident that whatever work you submit is actually your son's work. So, because I think she has been seeing that a lot of parents have been trying to make the work neater or, clean it up a bit before sending it to the teacher. So that is something that parents will have to watch out for, that if the child is going to go back to school, they're going to have to do things all by themselves. And it will be important that the child is taught to be self-reliant in a number of different ways, even with basic doing their own activities, right up to academically, whatever is expected for their age and for their development. It would be expected from the school that they should do it on their own. So I would definitely encourage parents to, if they have been doing things for the kids, to now slowly reduce that dependence so that the child becomes ready to manage it by themselves. It doesn't actually go so difficult. It's not actually that bad. You can start working on the child slowly and steadily, and you will find that over a period of time the child is able to manage by themselves. So don't step in every time the child is struggling with something. Let them push themselves to do it, because if they know that you're going to do it for them, they also might not uh, push themselves to do it, right? So in the longer term, it's a better lesson for the child to persevere and complete the task on their own, rather than have their parent do it better, do it faster, do it much easier for them. So this is definitely something that I think parents should look at.
So, Dr. Wilona, you mentioned a lot about challenges children might face after school starts, because parents have been supporting a little bit in many ways, like maybe to finish the task, maybe to pay attention on the study work or any activity. So, like this, what kind of other challenges they might face because of dependency on certain things which are here in the environment of house, but they will not be there in the school.
Okay. So like we discussed about parental dependence, right now the children have been supported a lot by screens. Okay, and what we should not forget is that the screens are a very visually and auditorily attractive medium, because they are constantly showing images, using sounds, using different ways to make sure that the attention of the child is captured. But the child will have to go back into the school, where not every teacher will work with all of these media to engage the child. So the child will have to make the shift from the screen world into the real world, and that might be quite challenging for children. In fact, we might see some amount of irritability related to that, some amount of screen withdrawal related concerns. The child may seem reluctant or even irritated and angry when the screen is taken away. uh, if it is not impacting their academics or their sleep and appetite, I wouldn't worry, and I would let the parent deal with it in a calm manner, so that the child over a period of time gets adjusted to the new pattern, or rather the old pattern. But if it is affecting the child's academics, or if it is affecting their biological functioning in the form of their sleep, their appetite, their behavior in any extreme manner, then I would definitely encourage the parent to look at getting help and support. I think most schools will be prepared for this, because I'm really happy to see that schools take a lot of interest now in, either when it was shifting the children from the offline to the online world, they did a lot of things to make sure that the children got acclimatized, and also the teachers. I think they did a lot of effort to train the teachers on the various media and everything, the tools that they could use. So, they made the transition easier. I think schools will definitely factor this in, but as parents, as mental health service providers, we could all look at this being potential areas of concern. One more thing that I would like to add is that attention and focus is an area that is becoming concerning over the last few years. So a lot of parents have been coming to me, a lot of teachers have been referring children for attention concerns. Um, right now, while the child is under your care, please remember that, as a parent, you will pay attention to what the child is doing. So if instead of paying attention to the class, the child is looking outside the window, you're going to say, "Arey, kya kar rahe ho? Dhyan do." But this is not probably going to happen in school, because there are 30, 40 children in the class, and the teacher might not be able to pay individual attention to all the children. So again, getting them back on track in terms of their attention and focus should be a priority for parents.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I think, yes, I understand that schools being online, it goes both the ways. Like we hope that schools will also take some of the efforts
Yes.
by understanding this, what you are saying, that it is going to be difficult. And when I say difficult, it doesn't mean that we have to panic and we have to consider it as pathological, or we don't have to consider it as a disorder as such, but we just can take a little bit of care, and we can be just prepared to sort of deal with the challenges we might face. Okay, okay. So thanks a lot, Dr. Wilona. I think this is quite a lot of information which parents will have to keep in mind, and I'm sure they felt like they've learned new things, and it will help them when they are readjusting to their schedules. Is there anything else that you would like to tell parents today?
So I just like to leave with one message, and that is, I think your children are really going to appreciate and enjoy these moments that you have spent with them in these past few months and in the coming few months. Um, if this period has been stressful for you, please look and find out why it has been stressful, and look from the point of view of not finding where to put the blame, but to see what can be done to improve the quality of interaction, because this is a relationship that will be there for the whole of your life. And it would really be nice if this relationship has that added quality of uh, a loving enjoyment that you can bring to each other. So that's the only thing that I'd like to say, and thank you so much for this lovely opportunity. I
Yes.
hope that if there are areas of concern, and if we can be of help to you in any way, I'm sure Sonali and me would be happy to help if there are any concerns.
Yes, we will be sharing your information as well on our channel so that parents can reach out to you definitely. And thanks a lot, Dr. Wilona. Yeah.